Good morning, Facebook world. Hope you are well. I don't have much time this morning, but thought I'd definitely do a video. Today's topic is about listening. And you might think, how does that relate to annihilating anxiety? What we need to appreciate is that all of us, through our own programming, have default ways of listening. And no matter who you are, based on your personality, attitudes, mindsets, beliefs, values, and all of that, we are going to have default things that we're actually going to be listening for, that we're often actually not aware that we're actually listening for. Morning, Phil. And what we need to appreciate is that when we show up as a person, when we're listening to someone else, we're going to have a listening bias. And unless we identify and unpack that listening bias, we're often going to be traveling through our conversations or our experiences in life, and we'll be wondering why we're constantly coming up with the same things. Now, when you identify your listening bias, then you can make a decision if you're going to be in that mode or step out of it. Now, there's a number of listening biases that we may actually have, and there's certain activities that you can do to identify the listening biases that you have, and I certainly teach those and talk to people about those, but I just wanted to share a couple that you can have that you may not even be aware of. So one of them could be you're either listening for majority of good, or you're listening for the majority of bad, i.e. you've got a good, bad thing bias going on. Maybe you've got a positive, negative bias going on. Maybe you've got an agree, disagree bias going on. Maybe you've got a bias of what is the problem with that? Maybe you've got a bias of why and how is that not going to work? Maybe you've got a bias of fun and you're constantly looking for the fun. So for me personally, I recently did an activity. I discovered that I have a bias of whenever someone's telling me something, I'll be looking for how is that not going to work, or how is that going to be a problem. Now, that's a great thing for me to have, because as a coach, it's really helpful. And as a strategist and someone that loves systems, that's really empowering. But let's take that into other areas of my life. Could that potentially sabotage me? Could that actually be affecting my experience of life? Yes, absolutely. So I am now in a position of choice because I've identified that, and I can decide when I'm going to be in that mode or in a different mode. And it wasn't until I identified my listening bias that I was able to make conscious choices. And we really need to start to unpack what is our listening bias. And I recently came across someone that had a listening bias for agree or disagree. And their bias was, where do I not agree with that person? Now, can you start to think about, well, how would that show up for that person in other areas of life? Now, that person is in an occupation where they need to have that listening bias. So I want to invite and encourage you to start to identify, where is your listening bias? What are you constantly listening for that actually may identify and show you a pattern, and then you can then be in a place of choice. And annihilating anxiety, one huge step around that is going, what are my patterns, and do I want to be in them or out of them? And when you're in a place of choice, then you can start to make brand new decisions, new changes, and experience a new experience in your life. All right, hope you got some value. I will see you on the next episode of Annihilating Anxiety. Bye for now.